News Now Plus.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Norfolk State Football Coaches Show with the coach himself, Michael Vick. I'm Brian Smith. Sports anchor Shane Fordham will be joining us shortly. Let's begin the season opener for you, Coach, against Towson. Not the result you wanted. They lost 27-7. But let's talk first, before we get into the X's and O's of things, the atmosphere of this event, your opening night. What was it like from your view?
Yeah, I thought the atmosphere was amazing. Everybody came out. What I would like, a little more crowd participation on third down and throughout the game, yes. But, man, when you look, from my view and just looking around, it was amazing scenery. It was everything we thought it would be. And so hopefully everybody will come out this week and we'll have that same energy.
You got a chance to – did you even get a chance to kind of take it all in from your perspective?
I think I took it all in the pregame. Just looking around, just, looking at the atmosphere and just trying to relax and soak it all in. And it, being in Dick Price Stadium, it just felt like a practice with an opponent. That's what it felt like. So I'm used to being in that environment. Maybe if we was on the road, it would have felt different, but I enjoy every minute of it, every second of it. I was excited. It brought back memories of when I played and just, what the feeling felt like. And so now, just living vicariously through them, I just got to learn the fact that I'm not the player anymore. I'm the coach, and I got to coach hard. And just enjoy watching my guys go out after a week of hard work and preparation and laying it all out in the line.
I described the vibe of it. It reminded me of not just a home opener, but like homecoming. Yeah. The way the crowd was. Did you get that sense?
Well, it's been a while since I've been to an NSU game. And so, obviously, being a coach now, but it's been a while since I've seen the atmosphere. But, sometimes I'm going through the film and I'm watching and I see just a couple of people in the stands and I'm like, we can't let it get to that, So, the atmosphere now, man, we got participation, and when you see people there, It makes you play harder, and it makes you want to go out and show out.
Let's talk about the game itself. Offensively, what was your game plan going into this?
The game plan going in was to be physical in the run game, run the football. We didn't do that at all. I thought we had put ourselves in a lot of third and longs early. Put Israel in a tough spot. Otto was in a tough spot a couple times, and we just had to keep churning and keep trying to find ways to just flip the field position. But obviously you got to be better in the run game. You can't rush for 39 yards and think you're going to win too many football games. And so we're going to try to change that narrative this week. Keep working hard on it. Keep focusing on the fundamentals, pad level, and playing with good technique.
You explained afterwards coaching, your coaching instinct of things. How did that feel kicking in? Because you're first time head coach, but did you feel instantly, okay, I'm good?
Yeah, instantly I felt, just sort of a, relief in terms of like the way I felt. I thought I would be, just waiting for calls to happen and waiting for things to happen and trying to anticipate play clock and timeouts. And it was like I was able to just follow the game. And so I think from my past experience, it allowed me to do that. Now I just got to learn, and end of the half situations, stay a little closer to the referee if you need to burn the timeout. At the end of the game situations, just stay close and just know where everybody is and be conscious of my surroundings. And so, we obviously lost a timeout due to injury when the ball was spotted and certain things that, me and one of my coaches talked about, but in the moment, I should have explained that more to our guys. And so that cost us. I felt like that cost us in the second half because we could have definitely used that timeout at the end of the second half when we was trying to score. But you live and you learn, and it's things that I jog, and like hopefully it'll just carry over. For years and years in my coaching career.
I get the sense, too, just looking at your coaching staff going into this, you remind me of your coach at Virginia Tech, Frank Beamer, who, when I talked to his assistants, he was the kind of coach that just allowed his coaches to coach and whatever they needed. Do you do the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely involved, and I got my eyes on everything. I might have shades on in practice looking one way, but I'm looking over here, so I let the guys know that I'm paying attention to everything, and that's my job. I go back and watch the film. try to watch it from different perspectives. Get with my defensive coordinator because I'm more of an offensive guy, so I can kind of see it and understand it. But learning more about the defensive side of the ball, which is going to help me help us in terms of the offensive side of the ball moving forward. And so, we just got to piece this together. It's like a puzzle, and once it all come together, and once we feel like we're getting close to finishing, I think we'll be in good shape.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. When you're in a game like this, what are you expecting from your defense in terms of setting the tone?
Yeah, we expect a lot out of our defense. We feel like we got a fast and physical defense, and they understand what they need to do. They, like in terms of the game plan, we didn't want to throw too much at them. We wanted them to be able to play fast. And once Townsend, we spotted him 13. It was kind of stalemate, for a long period of time until sometime in the fourth quarter. And so felt like we adjusted well. We gave up, 2 big plays. That obviously those was the plays that I felt like made a difference in the game. But those guys was out there all day. And, I commend them and I respect them because, regardless of what the circumstances was, they stayed enthused, they played hard, they didn't give up, and they know, defenses win championships. And so we always going to hang our hat on that, but offense got to do their part as well and keep those guys fresh.
Let's switch over to the quarterbacks themselves. The struggles a little between Izzy Carter and Otto Kuhns. What did you like about what you did see from your quarterbacks, and what things did you feel like we got to work on this?
Yeah, well, I thought, the game started out slow for Israel. Obviously, there was some plays that he probably could have made even better decisions on. But, the plan was to give Otto a couple drives, and by the time Otto went into the game, we was in a 13-point deficit and didn't want to play the quarterback carousel because we don't have to. We got 2 good quarterbacks that can win, so we just chose to go with Otto and just let him finish the game from a veteran, standpoint. Didn't want to put Izzy back out there, when he was down. And so he'll get a clean start, he'll get a fresh start this week and, get a chance to go out there and show what he can do. But certainly proud of Otto. He's worked extremely hard in the spring and summer, and these guys, they just going to stay ready so they don't have to get ready. That's the message.
Quickly, just one of those thoughts. Do you go by feel when you have to switch quarterbacks or something like that?
Yeah, well, like we said, it wasn't a field thing. The plan was to give Otto some drives anyway, but by the time we went in, we was down. And so I think it's important that we allow Israel to get a rhythm just like Otto got a rhythm. And so we'll see what happens this week. But I'm excited about Israel and his opportunity to go finish the game this week.
All right, well, stay with us. We've got more on the Norfolk State Football Coaches Show. Sports anchor Shane Fordham joins us in just a moment.
B. Smith just went through an overview of this game, but I want to look at a key moment specifically that really surprised a lot of people. You decided to swap out Izzy Carter for Otto Kuhns really early in the game towards, I believe, the end of the first quarter. Tell me a little bit about what went into that decision.
Yeah, it wasn't a swap. Our plan was to play Otto, give him a couple possessions, whether it was going to be in the first quarter, second quarter, sometime in the third quarter. So we just felt like it, just wanted to get a little spark. So we put Otto out there, and he went out there. He did a great job. I think he was 17 for 24, 220 some yards. Made some plays with his feet. Was able to scramble and manipulate the pocket when it wasn't the cleanest pocket. And so, I started out a little slow for Israel. But as for a quarterback, it's all about rhythm. Got to get some rhythm. You got to get your time, and so definitely got to allow more time for that for Israel this week.
And it did seem like the offense, well, like you said, it was a difference in time, but it did seem like when Otto was in, the offense did sort of have a rhythm. They were moving a little better. What did you see from Otto specifically while he was in that you liked in terms of, mechanics, output ability? What did you see from him?
Yeah, well, everything I seen from him in the spring and the fall camp. Good decision making, a good understanding of the offense, and, just playing with poise. And so we expect that from our quarterbacks. That's what we preach. That's what we're going to get each and every week. And so this is the position that I'm the least worried about on the field because I know we got 4 good ones. And so those guys are going to continue to push each other, continue to compete, and make each other better. And that's what quarterbacking is all about. Now, Coach,
I have to ask you this. It's what a lot of people at home want to know as well who saw that game. Otto Kuhns, he was very impressive on Thursday against Towson. Izzy Carter, of course, has been impressive throughout the offseason leading up to Towson.
Right.
Otto Kuhns with the experience that he has to offer as a grad student. Izzy Carter with the sort of youthfulness that he has to offer this offense. Is it possible, with both of these guys being two talented quarterbacks, is it possible we could be seeing a position battle for quarterback throughout the season?
No, it's too late for a position battle. If you're going to have a position battle, you got to have it in the spring, you got to have it in the fall. So it was never a position battle between the two. It was always competition, and it's going to be competition until our very last game. So, when I played quarterback, the guys behind me was always trying to get in. They wanted to play, and it was my job to keep them off the field. So, thank God we got two good ones. If something happened, if we feel like we need to change the pace, then we can go to Otto. If Izzy's struggling, we go to him. If Otto's struggling, we go to Izzy. But it'll be, Izzy full time this week. Otto may get a possession or two. That's what we're gonna plan for. We're gonna keep our quarterbacks rolling just so they stay in tune with the game, keep their heads in the game, and I want them to always feel like they could play at any moment.
Well, speaking of this week, after the break, B. Smith returns for a preview of the matchup against Virginia State. Up next.
Sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
Next up for the Spartans, their former rivals out of the CIAA days as they take on Virginia State. Coach, what do you know about them from scouting them so far?
I'm going off the film from last year because technically they don't have to give us their film. Just watching them from what they did last year, obviously they had a good game this past weekend. They had a remarkable win, put up some good numbers, we just got to be ready to shut down what they do best, and we'll get a feel for them. We'll scope them out. We'll see. They're gonna come line up. We're gonna come line up, and we're gonna be ready to go.
This is as much a rivalry for the alumni as it is for the players. Did you kind of get that from talking with folks?
Yeah, well, I understand the magnitude of the game for sure. And for us, every game is a big game, and so we don't want to make this one bigger than what it is. We want the guys to just go out, play their best football, compete hard, and, make plays. And so, it's important for us that we go out and do everything that we're supposed to do in order to leave off the field with a win.
Now, NSU has won 3 of the last 4 meetings, including last season's 28-23 win at Dick Price Stadium. These schools go back to 1939. It's one of those, do you get the sense of the history of these two? It's not just in the last 10, 11 years where the Spartans have gone 9-2 against the Trojans.
Yeah, well, I think as we continue to, go through this journey, I understand it a little more. Right now, every game is big to us, and so whether it's a rivalry or whether it's an opponent like Townsend who coming in from a different conference, man, we just want to handle business, and so definitely not going to take them lightly, definitely not going to downplay the rivalry, in a sense, but the players got to feel that. We just got to continue to coach, and so I'm excited that we get to do this again another week. We get to improve on some of the things that we weren't great at last week or good at, and just try to get better each and every week.
How important is it to tell your team, don't take this lightly? Don't ever take this lightly.
Absolutely. It's the same message from last week, and it'll be every week. Like, you want to be a champ, you want to be great. You can't sleep on anybody, and so I can speak from personal experience. I can speak as to where I know they want to end up and where they want to go, and they got long-term goals just like they got short-term goals, and so we talk about it. We express, what we trying to, what the vision is and what we trying to accomplish, and we just not gonna blink if anything happens outside of that.
How important is it to also get off to a fast start to make you guys feel good?
Yes, it's important to start fast. That was kind of the message of this week, starting faster. Felt like we started a little slow last week, and so, come out, make, precise decisions, feel good about what you're doing, and definitely come off the ball and play good on defense. Play good on defense, play good on offense. Run the football effectively. We got to be physical in the run game when we do decide to run the football. And, obviously allow our quarterbacks to beat themselves. And I think, Israel's going to go in. He's going to have a great game this week. He's going to be focused, and, he's going to, go out there and do what he's supposed to do.
As a coach, how do you change from week 1 to week 2?
As a coach, you just got to learn from the mistakes that we made last week. Obviously, the goal is to get better each and every week. And so whether we won or lost, I think it'll be things, whether we won last week, obviously with the loss, I felt like, it was going to be things that we was going to have to teach and moments that we was going to have to teach off of. And so, Definitely don't want to get used to losing because, that's not the way you play this game, or that's not how you go about it. But at the same time, we're going to stay aggressive. We're going to keep trying to get out the quarterback, keep trying to stop the run, keep trying to run the football. And nothing changes about football. It's about blocking, tackling, running, and catching.
Well, that'll do it for now. Still to come on the Coach's Show, we get a chance to choose his favorite thing from this past week. It's another one for us.
Show. Sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
Welcome back to the NSU Coaches Show for another edition of Vick's Pitch Coach, where you get to pick and highlight a player on your team. So, Coach, for this week, who is your pick?
This week, I'm going to go to the offensive side of the ball. So I'm going to go with one of our main guys, Kavon King. Our bell cow, the guy that a lot of guys on the team respect. Obviously, didn't have the game that he wanted last week, but, definitely challenging him to be better this week and to push the guys in front of him and around him.
And what's something that you hope to see from him, or you expect to see from him going into this week against Virginia State?
Yeah, well, I just expect to see him, run the ball effectively, continue to be himself, not get discouraged when things aren't going his way. And not to say that he did that last week. I thought, just as a veteran and as a leader, regardless of, the yards that we ran for, he didn't gripe about it. He didn't pout about it. He was just the leader and the veteran that he was supposed to be, and so expecting him to just keep that same energy, that same intensity moving forward, and keep being Kavon.
Now, in the press conference after the game, you did talk about how the run game did struggle a little bit. The O-line struggled to find lanes. How do you hope that changes going into Virginia State, where Kavon King can be more involved?
We just got to continue to work on it. And, obviously some things that I wish I would have did better last week in practice as we closed out the week. But you live and you learn. And so, for those guys, you got to continue to, just be physical and challenge them in each and every way. And obviously, try to scheme it up the right way as well.
Well, Coach Vick, we will definitely have our eyes on Kavon King against Virginia State. But after the break, B. Smith returns again for final thoughts into Virginia State.
Sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
Some final thoughts. Shane, talk about that defense with Coach.
Well, Coach, 3 sacks, 4 pass breakups, all of which were really fingertips away from being interceptions. Headliners like David Ojegbe, 2.5 sacks, Dalen Long, 7 tackles, and Major Dillard, and on the interior, the D-line with 8 tackles, 1 TFL. Coach, how do you address the defense going into Virginia State to capitalize on those opportunities next time?
I think just to continue to be disciplined. I thought those guys played great. I thought in terms of the fits and getting into their gaps, I think they did really, really well. Obviously, in the back end, giving up 3rd and 20 and giving up the big plays, we'll eliminate that, and we got a really good football game. So we see a little, see a lot. Try to focus on that mentality, and then just let the defense just beat them. Their identity will continue to show.
Well, once again, they got Virginia State coming up this Saturday. For Coach Vick, Shane Fordham, I'm Brian Smith. We'll see you next week on the Norfolk State Football Coaches Show. As always, behold the green and gold.